One of the most important things that I hope that SHRM members take away from this is that security underlies women's approach to life and relationships in the workplace. That security manifests in three different ways. Emotional security, that's why they're more relationship and consensus and collaboration oriented. So it manifests in emotional security, physical security, and financial security. And this is not just my opinion. It comes from 14 years of expertise with gender issues and communication. It comes from all the research I did to write the book that I have on the topic. It comes from the 80 in-depth interviews that I conducted with managers, recruiters, and female employees. And also it comes from all the secondary recruiting and retention and women's issues research that I've done. It is critical. It impacts the communication styles that women have and the things that men or people with a masculine style need to keep in mind when dealing with women is that overall approach and look and almost urgent need for security. That's the secret to women. Interestingly, some women don't want to hear this. It actually offends them. And I understand that. And here's why it offends them. They don't want to have to be treated differently. They don't want men to have to worry about how to talk with them and what kind of different activities or support they might need, because they know that men will balk at that and then not want to bring them into the organization or into the higher ranks, because we're different creatures. They've got their nice little world set up, and here we come changing everything. So I understand that approach and that concern of women. But the problem is, if we keep sweeping these differences under the rug, first of all, we're already tripping over, and pretty soon we're going to fall flat on our face. So the key is to understand what these differences are, to understand that need and drive for security, emotional, physical, financial, and understand how to put practices and skills into place that will reinforce that need for security.
What issues do you find that employers need to face when they're dealing with female applicants that they're either not facing or they're not even aware of?
The issues that employers need to keep in mind while recruiting women are the behavioral and communication style differences. And some women don't like to hear this, but they definitely have a more, let me say, wiring for a relationship approach, which means connection, community, emotional support. So women are looking for that, whether they realize it or not, and the employers that can speak to that and offer the connection and a sense of community and the support that women are looking for and respond more effectively to, are going to be more successful in recruiting.
What types of things should employers be looking for when they communicate this about community? Are there certain things that certain areas of a company that address community more powerfully for female applicants?
The way that employers need to keep in mind this sense of community is not so much what they're looking for. It's more how they speak with and approach female applicants with an inclusive, collaborative style. In other words, make them feel part of a group. Point out the areas of a company that help provide that sense of community, networking groups, mentoring programs, parties even, bring kids to work days, letting them take off with pay a day or two a year to do volunteer work for a charity organization or a cause that the company is behind. Can you see how that can establish a sense of community? So it's that approach more on the employer side. It's not what they're looking for, it's how they're approaching their female recruits. And that's what the applicants are working for. So applicants are looking for, they want to feel like they belong. They want to feel like part of a group. They want to feel like they're going to have support there and someone that's going to take them seriously and care about their training and their support. And it's not that they're whiny or going to need their hands held. It's just that honoring that style difference and respecting it and wanting to get the most out of them and to keep them, and that's where the retention comes into play as well.
Okay, part of what we were just talking about was the content of what an employer should be saying to female applicants.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about the style, because you were saying that's
yes.
too. So So assuming that an employer has down, okay, these are some of the things I need to make sure to communicate, what advice do you have on how to communicate that information?
There's so many different style differences that need to be taken into consideration when speaking with female candidates. One is certainly active listening skills. Everybody knows what they are. Whether or not they put them into play is a different situation. They need to maintain pretty good constant eye contact, and I don't mean stare them down, but just even the slow blink that I just did right then cuts the tension of looking someone right in the eye. You can look to the side for a moment and then come back and talk with them. But maintain that eye contact, nod, ask follow-up questions. Could you clarify this more? Could you give me a little bit more detail about that? Let them know that you're hearing them and that you understand them and are taking them seriously. That's several of the styles right there, several of the effective approaches with women. Women have more of a collaborative consensus style, so you want to ask their opinions for things, make them feel involved and participative. Keep things equal. A masculine style naturally is one that I call a status approach, where they almost unconsciously try to one-up, and it's not even an intentional thing, it's not good or bad, it's just different. Women in general, and let me say right now that all these points that I'm talking about are generalities. There are always exceptions to the rule. All of us are a blend of masculine and feminine, but I need to separate them and shine a light on them for us to understand what those differences and general styles are. So I'm very well aware that anyone listening to this and watching this will see themselves on both sides of the page, and that's perfectly normal. But I just have to separate them to be able to clarify what those differences are. Women in general, or people with a feminine style, also are more detail-oriented. So they give longer answers, like I'm doing right now, or need more detail to just feel more competent about something. Whereas a more masculine style is very brief and focused, offering few details. So a style, while interviewing someone in a recruiting situation, for example, would be to offer more details. Be patient when she offers more than you're ready for, and just understand that that's just a style difference. And that's probably the overall most important one. Know that these style differences are just different, not good or bad, not right or wrong.
You were talking earlier about about active listening, about eye contact, about empathy. It seems to me that those are skills that would probably be well utilized in any interview environment. So is this one of those cases where when employers try to adapt to style differences that may work particularly well with female applicants, that they also might find that adopting some of those styles for any applicants will also pay benefits?
These styles that I'm talking about absolutely apply to everyone that you're interviewing. I like to compare it to the saying of the women are the canaries in the mine. And for those of you that haven't heard of canaries in the mine, the old coal miners in the old days used to send a canary in to test for gas, to see if there was a problem. If the canaries didn't come out, that meant there was, lethal gas in there. So women are being the canaries in the mine, meaning that they're the ones that are going to call all the issues and challenges to the forefront and bring them up and out, because women are more vocal about things that bother them and are more sensitive to them and intuitive about them. It doesn't mean that men aren't noticing these things too. It just perhaps won't bother them as much, and it's not as socially acceptable for men to complain about them or bring them up. So women being the canaries in the mine, what that allows then, any initiative, other than things like maternity benefits, and actually, let me take that back, because those can benefit men as well. Any initiative or activity or process or communication style that's adopted for the benefit of women will benefit men and people of color as well. So it's an entire diversity issue. So certainly active listening skills, yes, help anyone. So does recognizing that there are styles that vary within men and women. Anyone is going to respond better if they get emotional support for something. It's just that women need it and look for it more so than men do, as one example.